I've tried to record this like 5 times, but my mic kept cutting out, so I've switched to a new Butterwords mic. But we're gonna keep chugging on because there's been a lot of news in terms of the war in Iran recently, and I think it's worth talking about, especially given that Memorial Day just happened. So let's first look at what Trump said today about the war. Let's bring up. So he said that. He said it's about nukes. Obviously, I know you can't hear the thing, but if you aren't looking at the screen to see the subtitles, what he said was, it's about nukes. Now that's funny. It's a funny thing to say, especially when he backed out of the nuclear deal we had with Iran originally, and he's demanding that countries join the Abraham Accords. I believe it's a couple more countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and with the hope of that they'll establish formal ties with Israel, although Israel is currently committing a genocide, and these countries have said that they will refuse to establish ties with Israel unless Israel stops doing that. So you think, what is it about, right? Is it about nukes? Is it about changing the government? I don't know. I think it's probably more about Israel, because Trump is just a cock to this random country, and I think that's crazy. But it's you're killing. I mean, the inflation rate in the U.S. obviously it's worse in Iran right now, but it's high. It's high. It's the highest it's been since 2023, which is pretty crazy. It's high. People have died. Tons of people have died, which is crazy because he pretends to care. Obviously, I mean the government has always done this: pretend to care about Memorial Day while continuously sending people to die and to killing people for ridiculous causes. I mean, you think about this, right? Just anybody, like you watching this video, if you were in the wrong place in Iran, you could be dead. All your dreams, everything you aspire to, it could be done, all because of the whims of one madman who just happens to run the government. I think that's a little crazy. I think that we shouldn't be okay with this, and I think so many people just see the death number, they don't quite conceptualize it. Like, no, these are people, these are everyday human beings who are dead, whose lives have ended, who will never get to experience any fraction of the thing that you watching this video get to experience because of the whims of this one crazy man in the one crazy country we have some kind of ridiculous allegiance to. Luckily, though, his approval rating has been dropping, although a lot of his candidates have been winning their primaries, which that will be okay if they end up losing to Democrats, but in a lot of red states that won't happen, so it's just him being successful in what he's doing. But anyway, I think the main point I want to make is that there's this country, right, Israel, that we have this weird allegiance to for whatever reason, whether it's because we think, I mean, it's primarily because we think it's important to have that ally in the Middle East, and we're willing to do anything to that, right? And Israel does do a lot of business, right? Like, they do a lot of business, and worldwide that does affect us as well. But those ties, right, or this feeling of historical loyalty to this country as well, all reasons that whatever reason we would be helping Israel in this is just they aren't worth it. They aren't worth the death. They aren't worth the destruction. They aren't worth the lives that are being ruined. Nothing is worth that. And I really think that it needs to be put into perspective. Like, is this the reason why the war happened in the first place? Was it specifically for the purpose of trying to make an example out of Iran to try to get Israel to become a legitimized state in the eyes of the Middle East? Like, was that the goal? It's very possible that was the goal, and I think that that's a horrible realization to come to, because Israel has killed tens of thousands of people for no reason, right? And then we are continuing to aid in them killing thousands of people for no reason, and we are ruining the lives of now basically a ton of people in Iran for this country that frankly doesn't deserve our help. I mean, Trump talks so much about the U.S. being a charity to these countries who don't give us anything in return, yet he continues to support the one country that literally is maybe the biggest example of that at the moment, right? A country that literally could not survive without our support. Frankly, I just find it a little ridiculous. I think people need to start understanding this fact that that Trump is killing people for the sake of this country, Israel, for no reason. It's ruining lives. I mean, I think a lot of problems in the world would be solved if everybody stopped seeing death tolls as a number and started seeing it as people whose lives and dreams have been ruined. Because it's kind of this funny thing where when you see these big numbers, you don't quite contextualize it unless you force yourself to, because your brain doesn't want to. However, if it was like one person who died young, you would think about it. And I think that's really what's been tough to grapple with in this as well. Is like we are genuinely, like, I mean, basically the entire second half of the 20th century into this century has been the U.S. becoming the true villains of the world. And like the number one villains of the world, and we are living up to that. Because even though technically human rights in the U.S. might be better than they are in Russia or China or North Korea, we are definitely the ones causing the most destruction. Yeah, and I think, frankly, I mean, you can even think about the tens of thousands of people who have died from the stopping of U.S. aid for no reason, when his billionaires continue to make more and more money every day. This is what happens when you have a businessman as president, a business con man who has never struggled a day in his life. You don't get a guy who makes us good deals. You get a guy who will mindlessly ruin the lives of tens of thousands of people for no sake but his own pride. And I think that's pretty bad.